Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that everyone's okay this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Judge Morrow. Glad you can talk today.
Say it again.
I said, good afternoon. Glad you can join us for misdemeanor.
Okay, I'm glad to be here. Good to see you too. We had a long calendar this morning, but here we are back. Ms. Bridgewater, when is the SAP reset date, please?
October the 12th.
Thank you.
Whenever you're ready, Judge Morrow, we're going to start with position number 9, Mr. Hook.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Hook. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Mr. Hook, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005812B with battery. I've been told by pretrial that this is Mr. Hook's first arrest. Let's see, who's presenting for the state?
ASG Pierre Thomas, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre Thomas. You can proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Let me put the camera off. All right, Your Honor, the facts of this case is that on September 27, 2023, officers were dispatched to a person stab call. Once on the scene, the officer met with both the victim in this particular case, and I do believe that this is a cross warrant case, but the victim in this particular case, Mr. Ibrahim Williams, who advised that he was stabbed in his room. After speaking with both parties, it was determined that the victim, Mr. Williams, was not stabbed, but he was cut by glass due to a physical altercation. Mr. Williams advised that it all started when the defendant, Mr. Hook, confronted him about leaving dishes in the sink. The victim stated that the defendant got upset because he was ignoring him, and that the defendant walked towards him and tapped him on the shoulder repeatedly. The victim proceeded to push and strike the defendant. During the altercation, the victim slammed a glass door and to get away from the defendant, who had a plastic knife. The glass broke. The defendant ran towards the glass and continued to assault the victim, pushing and shoving him. Both parties suffered lacerations as a result from the glass. Your Honor, the recommendation from the state in this case is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact, a stay away from the incident location, and 1 anger management course. And because this is a cross warrant, I'll just, state that the victim is Ibrahim Williams in this case. However, obviously, for obvious reasons, we were not able to get in contact with him.
Okay, who's representing Mr. Hook?
It's me, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. McLeod. And Ms. Kim, are you representing Mr. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll see if we can take Mr. Williams's case next. Yes, Ms.
We
McLeod.
have no objection to the signature bond, Your Honor. My client is 28. He's never been arrested. This is his home, by the way. His name is the only one on the lease. He tells me that he's been living at that particular location for almost 2 years. His name is on the lease. His cousin, who was living there with him previously, asked him if he would allow the cross-defendant to live there with him. And he tells me that the cross-defendant, he just asked him about some dishes that, he keeps the apartment very messy. And he just had a discussion. And the warrant specifically states that he tapped him on his shoulder. People do that all the time. And that was when the cross-defendant attacked my client. The warrant even states that the cross-defendant was the one that slammed the door and caused the glass to break, and that he was cut, Mr. Williams, because he slammed the door and broke the glass. My client did not attack him. He was the primary aggressor. He attacked my client. I would ask the court if there's going to be any stay away, that it is Mr. Williams who would be asked to stay away from this location, and that my client be able to go back to his home. Mr. Williams has only been living there for the past 2.5 months. My client, this is his home. And that there be no further contact with them, but that my client gets to go back to his home. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ibrahim Williams, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Courtroom 2, can we take position number 21, Mr. Ibrahim Williams next?
Yep, he's on the way.
Okay, good luck to you, Mr. Hook.
Your Honor, the court didn't say what would happen with respect to the home. My client's name is the other one on the lease.
Okay, I didn't say anything because I'm not going to leave him away from his home. So no, there's no further contact, but he can go back to his home, given that he is the one that's the leaseholder and was allowing apparently Mr. Williams to stay with him. So I'm not going
That
to
is
keep him
correct,
from
Your
his
Honor.
home. Okay,
Thank you, Your Honor.
you're welcome. Let's see. Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged, Mr. Williams, in case 23 CR 005821B with battery. Afternoon, Mr. Howard. Can you tell me the history?
Hey, it's the fifth arrest, 2021, sale of marijuana, possession of drug-related objects, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission, 2019, suspended license and probation violation. That's it.
Okay, this your case, Mr. Walker?
It is, Your Honor. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm fine. I missed you at SAP this morning.
Miss you too. In this case, we'll just be asking for the same exact conditions imposed in Mr. Hook's case. So that would be a signature bond through pretrial services, the 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with the cross defendant, Lamar Hook, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Okay, and any objection to any of that, Ms. Kim?
No
afternoon.
objection, Your Honor. We just need one-time law enforcement officer escorted visit to 32 Peaches Street so he can get his personal belongings, Your Honor.
Okay, so it will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Hook, stay away from the Peachtree Street address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Your client has his hand up, Ms. Kim.
Mr. Williams, please feel free to call me. I do not want you to speak. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you, so please stay silent.
Good luck to you, Mr. Williams.
This one is per judge. I don't remember if he was recommended.
Okay, per judge, that's fine, Mr. Howard. Thank you.
Next,
Is
we
it-
have a private attorney case. It's going to be position number 18, Ms. Vargas.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Judge. Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a long time.
It has.
You look like you're doing well. I hope you are.
You as well, Judge. You look great.
Good afternoon, Ms. Vargas. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Vargas, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005823Y with criminal trespass and damage to property, battery, and simple assault. Can you give me the history, Mr. Howard?
It's a fifth arrest. Last was 2022 for battery. It was dismissed out of Florida. 2021 DUI, 2018 false imprisonment, simple battery. That was non-process. And 2016 possession of a controlled substance conviction.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to the DP gas station located at 3700 Old Alabama Road. They spoke to the victims of Mr. Gary and Patricia Houston, who advised that the defendant pulled up next to their car. She opened up her car door, making contact with their car. Mr. Gary Houston asked the defendant in this case to be more careful. At that time, she slung her car door open a second time A verbal altercation ensued where she called them racial slurs. Eventually, she took a pair of shoes, threw it at his wife, Miss Patricia Houston, and then she eventually struck Mr. Gary Houston. The officer did observe a visible injury and visible swelling to Mr. Houston's face. In this case, we are asking for a $1,000 surety bond to the one count criminal trespass, the one count of battery. We are also asking for $1,000 surety into the one count of simple assault, $1,000 surety for a total of a $3,000 surety bond. No further contact with Patricia and Gary Houston. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Patricia Houston, I wish to address the court, opportunity to do so. Doesn't
We did
appear.
contact, and she said she was unable to make it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker. Counsel?
Yes, Judge. Your Honor, I actually agree with Mr. Walker with the amount of bond that he's requesting. However, I'll just share a few things with you, Judge, about Ms. Vargas. First of all, Judge, I do object to the recitation of the facts of the cases. As you know, they're not relevant in a bond hearing. We haven't received any discovery. We can't contest any of that. We will talk about the nature of the offense, Judge. These are the charges that she's facing right now. However, I'll share with the court that Ms. Vargas actually has been diagnosed with some anxiety and depression, and that's what I submit to you, Judge, leads her to getting into situations as this. Judge, she'll be staying with her mother here in Georgia if Your Honor will give her a bond. She is requesting if you'll allow her to go back to her residence in Florida. But if Your Honor requires her for her to stay here with her mother, she'll certainly agree with that, Judge. I don't believe she's a flight risk at all, Judge. In fact, last night we surrendered her to the Fulton County Jail, and that's how she ended up on today's calendar. We were actually going to be doing that a month ago, but with the other more politically affluent visitors at the Fulton County Jail, we didn't want to get caught up in all of that, so we waited for all of that to be over. And then she turned herself in last night. She is 25 years old, Judge. She's attended Harold Washington Community College. She's also been to Georgia State College, where she transferred to. She studied criminal justice, and she has her mother and her sister who are in support of her and her uncle as well. So I don't believe she's a flight risk, Judge, at all. This isn't behavior that she is intentionally engaging in, but it's partially due to her medical condition. And if she's allowed to stay with her mother or stay with her boyfriend in Florida, they've assured me that they're going to be looking out for her so she doesn't get into behavior such as this. And I actually agree with Mr. Walker's request for the bond.
Okay, as such, it'll be a $3,000 surety bond, $1,000 per charge. No further contact with Gary or Patricia Houston. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. I'm not going to restrict her movement. So as long as she appears for her next court appearance, she should be fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck to you, Ms. Vargas.
I appreciate that, Judge. This is the only business I have before you.
Have a good afternoon. Good to see you as always.
You as well. Great to
Thank
see you,
you.
Judge. Be safe.
Position
Who do we have?
11, Mr. Howard.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Howard. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, yes, sir. Good morning.
Okay.
Yeah, hello, Miss Judge Morrow, yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Howard. You have been charged in case 23 CR 0058225F with battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
What number is this?
It's
11.
position 11, but I don't see it on your sheet that you gave.
He wasn't on my pull sheet.
It's an add-on, I believe, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Walker, do you have his history?
Yes, 1 second, Your Honor. Showing 4 cycles. I'm not showing any violent convictions. I'm just showing theft and drug charges and a probation violation, Your Honor.
Okay,
This is a cross-defendant case. We handled the cross-defendant Jeffrey Williams case last week. But in this case, law enforcement was dispatched to the apartment complex where Mr. Howard and the cross-defendant, Mr. Jeffrey Williams, reside. There was a physical altercation. It was determined that it was mutual combat. The cross-defendant, Mr. Jeffrey Williams, suffered stab wounds from Mr. Edward Howard. Of course, we did send this to the DA's office, but they did not accept, so it is going to remain in state court. Again, it is alleged that he stabbed Mr. Jeffrey Williams. We are asking for a $20,000 surety bond. No further contact with Mr. Jeffrey Williams, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. This incident did occur inside the apartment of Mr. Howard, so we are not requesting a stay away.
okay, and so Jeffrey Williams lives someplace else is what you're telling
They're
me?
neighbors and they live in the same apartment building, different
Oh,
units, but same building. So we're just asking for no further contact with Mr. Williams.
Okay. Yes, Ms. McLeod.
Your Honor, this is a very sad and unfortunate situation. My client is 66 years old. As the state has said, he has absolutely no violent history. He is a disabled veteran. My client tells me that he and his neighbor, who actually know each other quite well, were at his neighbor's house. His neighbor had asked him to bring his gun up there to show him because he was considering buying the gun from my client. My client said for some reason, when he put the gun on the table, the gun went off by accident. And his friend was scared and thought he was about to attack him or something. I don't know why I would think that. So he grabbed an iron pipe and attacked my client. My client was in Grady for more than a week. He suffered a collapsed lungs, all kinds of issues. This is just a really bad situation. And on top of that, he was arrested after he left Grady. He's been sitting in jail for several days. He tells me, he is still suffering from the injuries he received on that occasion. It was a cross arrest, Your Honor, and obviously they couldn't get to the bottom of it. They tried to get the DA to accept the case. I guess someone in the DA's office realized that, it was not what they are trying to make it out to be. So based on all of that, I would ask you to give my client a signature bond so he can get out of jail, Your Honor. This is what he said happened, and he is totally devastated and has been hospitalized on top of that because of all of this. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Howard receive injuries?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
How did Mr. Howard receive injuries?
The cross defendant attacked him with an iron pipe, Your Honor. He had a long and all, because when the gun went off, he must have thought the gun was on the table. He told my client afterwards that he thought he was going to attack him. It was like, attack him? Why would I do that? This was an accident.
Right, and then he stabbed the cross defendant Jeffrey Williams. So we have a gun at play. The other person had stab wounds. They both were transported to the hospital, and that's the reason why the state is asking for a $20,000 surety. There were serious injuries to both parties.
And this sounds familiar to me, but I'm not sure, Mr. Walker. Did I issue the bond for Mr. Williams?
I'm trying to pull up Mr. Williams' case right now to see.
And my client has been sitting in jail since Monday. I first spoke to him on Monday, Your Honor. It's now Thursday.
And just to address that, I will make it clear that it's not a Riverside issue. He was booked in the jail, I believe, 9:30 p.m. on September 25th. So we are less than 72 hours.
No, maybe it was Tuesday, but it seemed like I spoke to him quite some time ago, the first time, and I spoke to him again yesterday.
Here we go. I just found. I'm sorry, Jeffrey Williams is a common name, but I just found the case. So you issued a $10,000 SOB jail for Jeffrey Williams.
Okay, and so I thought I remembered the case. So given that I gave Mr. Williams an SOB jail, I am also going to issue Mr. Howard a $10,000 SOB through the jail. No further contact with Mr. Williams, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Mr. Howard.
Okay. Yeah, thank
And
you.
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you, Ms. McLeod. We appreciate your help.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
That was through the jail, correct, Judge?
Yes.
Position 19, Whitefield.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Is it Whitfield?
Yes. Whitfield.
Good afternoon, Ms. Whitfield. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Whitfield, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005819E with battery family violence. I've been told by pretrial that this is Ms. Whitfield's first arrest.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the state is asking for $1,000 surety bond to the one count of battery family violence. Law enforcement was dispatched to 505 Fulton Street, where they spoke with the Mr. Tavares Pittman. He advised that he and his girlfriend were in a verbal altercation and she hit him in the head with a glass candle. Mr. Pittman was bleeding from the head and the officer did observe this on site. So we are asking for no further contact, to stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol as well.
Have you contacted Mr. Pittman or?
So
your
it's a
office?
dual arrest. So no, we didn't.
Oh, okay. And let's see. Is Mr. Pittman on this calendar?
I do not believe so. Let me see if I can find one in this case.
I was told that he actually was loaned out to Grady because of his injury, and he is going to be conflicted out.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ms. Kim. You can proceed. Ms. Kim.
With the candle, so.
Yes, he was also booked as well, Your Honor, because officer could not determine who was a first aggressor. My client claims of self-defense, and Your Honor, 505 Fulton Street is actually my client's house. So we would like to make sure she can return home. And we have no objection to no further contact since they broke up. My client has no desire to have any contact with him. And Your Honor, we would like to request for signature on bond. She is recommended actually, and she has 2 minor children who are 9 and 16. Even though she works as a certified nursing assistant almost every day, her income is not high enough. So she is still qualified for public defender services because she has to take care of 2 minor children as a single mom. That's it, Your Honor. Thank you.
And Your Honor, I asked for the stay away because in reading the police report, it reads as though that the home belongs to Mr. Pittman. Obviously, I have not talked to him or Miss Whitfield, but the way the report reads, it refers to Miss Whitfield as a living girlfriend.
Well, that is what the warrant says. However, my client claims that she's the only one who is on the lease, and she pays $1,100 every month herself alone.
Okay, well, since I'll let you all work this out with Mr. Pittman, but given that she has 2 children, at this time, I'm going to allow her to stay in her home with the 2 children, and we'll address Mr. Pittman at the appropriate time. As far as the bond goes, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Pittman. She can go back to her residence with her children, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Whitfield.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Welcome.
Position 17, Mr. Valentine.
Good afternoon, Mr. Valentine. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, I am, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Valentine. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005818E with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and another misdemeanor offense. May I have his history, Mr. Howard?
34 total. Last arrest was 2022. Possessing a drug-related object. He's on probation for robbery. 14 SC 126077. In 2014, they gave him 5 years to serve, 10 years probation. 2016 probation violation, 2017 obstruction conviction. That's it.
Yes, Your Honor, in this case.
Your Honor, this is actually the one that I wanted to request that we stop the live stream at the YouTube. And also because of the charge, we would like to see if we can move this case to the last one at the calendar.
Okay, let me know that at the beginning, Ms. Kim,
Yes,
so
Your
that
Honor.
we don't get all the way through these beginning of these cases and then have to start all over again.
Sure.
So I am inclined to let your client move to the end of the calendar.
Thank you, Your Honor. I greatly appreciate it. And I
You're welcome.
apologize. Usually it was announced by a solicitor. So I assumed that he would do that.
Well, we normally object to that, so I'm not sure why I would be announcing it, but.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you.
This is going to be position 15, Fennessy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fennessy. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005822C with criminal trespass. Mr. Howard?
7 total. All you got is driving stuff out that I saw. He did have a
Thank you.
2018 failure to appear.
Thank you. Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement actually spoke to the defendant. He advised to the officer that he and his girlfriend, Ms. Shantae Carter, were in a verbal altercation. At that moment, he did snatch her cell phone out of her hand and throw it across the parking lot at a hotel that they were visiting. We are asking for a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. No further contact with Ms. Shantae Carter. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Any objection to any of that, Ms. Kim?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, given the nature, I'm gonna have it go through the jail as opposed to pretrial, so a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Carter and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Judge, repeat that bond amount.
$3,000 signature bond through the jail,
Thank you.
Can I
You're
just
welcome.
double check about the address of the SWA, SAW?
It was at a hotel and I didn't ask for a
Okay.
stairway, just a no further
Okay.
contact.
No problem.
Okay, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Position 12, Lawrence.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lawrence. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
That's okay.
Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005814H with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard? Looks like Mr. Howard might have stepped away for a moment. Do you have the history, Mr. Pierre Thomas, or would you like for me to wait for Mr. Howard? to
Your Honor,
return?
Your Honor, sorry for the interruption. I do have the history. The only thing I have to report at this time that is essentially relevant to these charges is 12 cycles total. The facts of this case, Your Honor, is that on September 27, 2023, the officers responded to a trespass call at 3319 Old Milton Parkway, Alpharetta, Georgia, 30005 in Fulton County, Georgia. The officer was flagged down by Mr. Eric Landy, Landi, and Lisa Smith, who was the manager, and informed that the defendant was on the scene and he had been trespassed by the same officer earlier that day for scaring off customers. Your Honor, the recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohols, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the two named witnesses in this case, and a stay away from that incident location. The business itself being a Waffle House. Nothing further to add from the state at this time, Your Honor.
Any objection to any of that, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, two things, Your Honor. We would like to prefer to have a jail. And also about Waffle House, he claims that he was hired about a week ago to do a door security. So he believes that there was a misunderstanding about him being criminal trespassing. So if he is employed still, I want to make sure that he can return to his work.
If Mr. Landy and Ms. Smith worked there, then I don't understand why they would have criminally trespassed him. So I'm not going to have him go back to the Waffle House. They work there, right, Mr. Pierre Thomas?
That is correct. Both of them work there according to the warrants.
Okay,
One is the
so,
manager.
all right, so that doesn't sound logical, Ms. Kim, that they would call the police on him if he was doing some work there. It's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Waffle House on Old Milton Parkway. No further contact with Mr. Landy and Ms. Smith, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you.
Position 16, Rhodes.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, I can't, is it Miss Rhodes?
No, it's Mr. Rhodes.
Mr. Rhodes, I'm sorry, I can't see you very well. Good afternoon, Mr. Rhodes. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005817J with criminal trespass and transmitting false report of fire. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Fifth arrest, last was in August, trespass. On probation, driving without a valid license. That should time out soon. He got a hold out of Villa Rica and a 2022 simple battery arrest.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, Sean, in this case, law enforcement was dispatched to the Georgia Tech Institute campus. At that location, it was determined that the defendant pulled the fire alarm. Upon making contact with him, he was recognized because he has previously been trespassed from this location. We are asking for a $500 surety bond to the one count of criminal trespass, and then another $500 surety bond for the one count of false report of a fire. Total $1,000 surety. Stay away from Georgia Tech. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is only 21 years old, Your Honor, and he was living with his foster parents, and yet because of his age, he was basically let go from foster care place, and right now he is residentially challenged. So indeed, we are trying to connect him with PAD, P-A-D, or even the letters program that provides some guides for him to get better. So he graduated from high school, Martin Luther King Jr. High School in DeKalb County. He was a very good student, and he also played basketball ever since he was 13. He is 6'2", very tall. He is doing really well with his sports. He just needs a little bit of help to get out and situated in this society. So we would like to ask for signature on bond, and also, I mean, he would be happy to have us stay away from that location. Thanks.
Was I told that he has a hold?
He does have a warrant from Villa Rica. However, they did not express that they will extradite him. But I guess he can be released to that location to take care of the issue.
Okay, if he does have a hold, I'm gonna release him to that hold. For each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Georgia Tech campus. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. And I'd like for him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Rhodes.
All right, sir.
Positions 3 through 5, Mr. Burla.
Good afternoon, Mr. Burla. I'm Judge Eric Mara. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's see, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005806E with criminal trespass, 23 CR 005807E with criminal trespass, and 23 CR 005808E with criminal trespass. Does he have a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah. Second arrest, last arrest was last month for trespass and obstruction. That's a pretrial bond. I forgot the amount. And it was on Georgia's Tech campus, if I'm not mistaken. That's it. Judge Mincy did it though. I know it wasn't you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Pierre Thomas.
Your Honor, these are three separate cases. They're all essentially criminal trespass cases. Would you like me to just read all of the facts and separate them by dates and allow for the bond to be set at that point?
That's fine, Mr. Pierre Thomas.
Absolutely, Your Honor. Your Honor, the first incident date would be September 22nd, 2023. That is Georgia Tech, incident location 351 First FERST Drive, Atlanta, Georgia 30308. That is the only location that differs from the other two locations. But basically on that date, the defendant returned to the campus and went inside the dean's office at the incident location. Employees notified Georgia Tech Police Department. The defendant was not on the scene at the time that the officers arrived, but investigation revealed that the defendant connected his cell phone to the network inside the student center on the first floor. Cameras were able to capture the accused getting inside of an Uber and leaving the campus. He was actually trespassed on, looks like, September 1st, 2023, where the defendant received a lifetime ban from Georgia Tech due to trespassing inside of buildings and stealing property that belonged to Georgia Tech. The next incident date is September 26, 2023, which it is said that it started on the 25th, where the defendant entered the Georgia Tech property, specifically the Coda building. That separate location is 756 West Peachtree Street, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia 30308. The defendant was captured on camera having gained entry by walking behind someone else after being denied entry through an ID, which he retained and was supposed to have given back. The last incident looks like took the incident date off. It looks like September 27th, 2023, the defendant returned to the Coda building, having already been trespassed from that location in August. It is noted that this defendant this would be his fourth trespass at the same location in less than a month. Your Honor, the recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, no contact with any employees from Georgia State, or, and stay away from the Georgia State campus, the entire Georgia State, as these are two separate incidences on Georgia State's campus. Nothing further from the state.
Good afternoon, Ms. Abden.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. So I previously represented Mr. Brilla on August 30th. It's my understanding that the signature bond was through pretrial and he was to stay away from the CODA building specifically. He is a student at Georgia Tech. He's originally from Nebraska. He came here to go to school. He's 24 years old. He did have a stay away from the CODA building. And I did speak with him. He does deny the allegations. It's my understanding as he's a student and was not allowed to be at the CODA building specifically. The case that is third on the calendar where he tried to speak with the dean, I'm not really sure if he was banned from going to that building, but at any rate, I did speak with him. It sounds like he does deny the allegations. It is just his second arrest. He is recommended. And so we have no objection to the signature bond, but I am asking that that be through the jail, and he will agree to stay away. But like I said, it's my understanding and his understanding that he is a student there. So he will likely need to return to go to school unless he was, he doesn't go there anymore, but it's my understanding that he does.
He's not recommended. He got an open pretrial case that's about to be surrendered.
His pretrial report said recommended. I apologize.
Your Honor, as I specified in the recitation of the facts, just to be a little bit more specific, it appears that the lifetime ban from Georgia Tech was approved by the Georgia Tech Police Department Chief Connolly and the Georgia Tech's Dean of Students.
On what date?
It looks like August 1st, 2023.
I understand. Well, Your Honor, my client was just abiding by what this court had ordered for him to not return to the CODA building, and he does not object to the stay away. So I am requesting a signature bond through the jail.
Mr. Peter Thomas, do you have this issue, last week or so?
I'm sorry, I could not hear you. Cut out on my end, please.
Do you have that bond that was issued a week or so ago?
I can look into the system now.
If you would, please, and tell me what the conditions were.
Absolutely.
Or are, so that we can all be clear.
Did he go to felony court today too?
I believe that was on the 30th.
Yes, he was
of
in
August.
earlier today.
You know what his bond was?
7,500.
That's a good bond. Okay, thank you, Francis.
For what charge? Do we know?
For the burglary and second.
Oh, okay.
So I put it up. The previous case does say CODA building at Georgia Tech.
Okay. All right. So given that it does say the CODA building, let me make it perfectly clear on these bonds. He is, because he's already banned from all of Georgia Tech, on these bonds, he will be banned from all of Georgia Tech. So you cannot go back onto the Georgia Tech campus, period, end of story, Mr. Burla. So for each charge, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, which makes will be a total of a $6,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from all Georgia Tech campuses. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Are we clear, sir?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position 14, Moore.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moore. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005816A with certain acts of bus rail station prohibited and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
14 total. Last was 2019 simple battery. That was a conviction. He had an 09 simple battery DV arrest. He's recommended.
Okay. Mr. Walker?
Your Honor, in this case, the defendant was arrested at a MARTA station for drinking, which is prohibited. The state is asking for a $500 signature bond through the jail on certain acts. For the criminal trespass, we're asking for a $500 signature bond through the jail. We are asking for the defendant to remain compliant with any and all MARTA suspensions, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Any objection to any of that, Ms. Kim?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, so a total of $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Abide by any MARTA suspensions and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Good luck to you, Mr. Moore.
I'm sorry, Judge, I had stepped away. Can you please repeat the bond?
Yes, it's 500 signature through the jail on each count, makes for a total of $1,000 signature through the jail.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Position 20, Mr. Williams. Myron.
good afternoon, Mr. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005820G with theft of lost or mislaid property. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
6 total. Last arrest was February, trespass. On probation for battery, theft by taking, reckless conduct. 22 SC 180492. That's it.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched at 216 Broad Street. I believe that's some type of restaurant where they spoke to an employee, Christopher Pope. He advised that he left his iPhone 13 at a cash register. The defendant was captured on camera taking that iPhone. The iPhone was discovered later at a Walmart where he had pawned it. In order to pawn the iPhone device, the defendant had to show his ID, and that's how he was identified. To the count of the theft of mislaid property, we are asking for a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no further contact with the victim, Christopher Pope, and a stay away from the victim's employment, 216 Broad Street, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Okay, I'm gonna have this go through the jail, so it'll be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Broad Street address, no further contact with Mr. Pope, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Williams.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Position 2, Beasley.
Good afternoon, Mr. Beasley. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Beasley, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005805E with criminal trespass. Your history, Mr. Howard?
30 total. Last arrest was last month. Shoplifting, possession of a Schedule 2. Theft of lost mislaid property and possession of cocaine. I got it. He's on probation for a CWAC charge. Also ag assault, ag stalking. Got an open shoplifting. Open criminal trespass, obstruction out of state court. Got an FTA from this year. Shoplifting, possession of meth, criminal damage to property from this year. 2022 shoplifting, 2 counts of simple assault. That's it.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Pierre Thomas.
Your Honor, the facts of the case is that an officer was dispatched to the CVS located at 2350 Cheshire Bridge Road, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia, 30324 in Fulton County, Georgia, where they spoke with, looks like Mr. Kareem Muhammad being the store manager. He advised that the defendant was given a criminal trespass and continues to violate it. Muhammad also advised that the defendant stole from the location before and caused disruptions to the business. He advised that on this particular occasion, the defendant was told by him and employees, or was witnessed by him and employees, calling him and employees derogatory terms. The officer observed the defendant inside the store on camera. The recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the witness in this case, that being Kareem Muhammad, and a stay away from that incident location. Nothing further to add from the state at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Abden, does he have a place to reside?
He does, Your Honor.
Okay. It's going to be a $2,000, if it's okay with you, Ms. Abden, a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, stay away from the CVS on Cheshire Bridge Road, no further contact with Mr. Muhammad, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. Abden?
Absolutely. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you can't go back to that CVS, Mr. Beasley.
I won't, sir, ever.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Position A, Cleveland.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cleveland. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Sir.
Thank you. Mr. Cleveland, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005811Y with hindering a person making an emergency telephone call. It's my understanding from pretrial that this is Mr. Cleveland's first arrest. Mr. Pierre Thomas.
Yeah, the facts of this case is on September 27th, 2023. Officers responded to the incident location due to a fight. The officer spoke with the victim, who stated that she had got into a verbal dispute with her son, the defendant, about coming in the house late and being disrespectful. She stated that she went to call 911 for assistance, and the defendant snatched the phone out of her hand and prevented her from requesting the police. The defendant stated to the officer that his mother was doing too much. And then when asked about the incident, he stated that, "I'm not going to cap. I did take the phone from her." The victim advised that the incident never became physical. Our office was able to speak with the victim in this case. She advised that they do live together. She confirmed the events that were in the warrant. She stated that.
I'm here. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm on a call. I didn't know if you can hear me.
Oh yeah.
We'll be with
okay.
you. I see you there, Ms. Cleveland. We'll be with you in a moment.
Okay. It's new to me.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You're fine, ma'am. I'll get to you in just a moment. Okay.
No problem.
Go ahead, Mr.
She advised that she never wanted him to be arrested, that this has never happened before, and she is not in fear of him, and she would like for him to return to the residence. And so with that being said, Your Honor, the state is requesting a signature bond through the jail, no violent contact, of course, and one anger management course, and we'll sound for Miss Angela Cleveland at this time.
Okay, Miss Cleveland.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. Cleveland. If you would like to address the court, I need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell me, Ms. Cleveland?
Okay, good afternoon. All this is new to me, this Zoom, this whole situation. I'm a single mother of 2 Black boys. I never, ever raised them to be disrespectful. And when Derek came home late, I was very upset because I have a curfew at my home and you have to abide by the rules. And so Derek became just upset. And he's a good kid. We're in church every Sunday. I raised him like that. And I said, I'm going to call the police. And I think he was more afraid than anything. He didn't come at me violently. I think he was afraid of me to call the police. All I wanted the police to do basically was to tell him to leave for the night because I wanted him out of my house for the night as a form of punishment. I never wanted all this to take place, Your Honor. Derek is in carpentry school. He goes to school every day. Now he's missed the past couple of days. I have a certificate here that he's completing. And I never had any trouble with him at school or anything. And I do want my son home. And Your Honor, I'm on a fixed income. Derek don't have a job, and I respectfully ask that he get on his own recognizance. I may not even be pronouncing that word right, but I respectfully ask that, Your Honor. I don't have much money.
Okay, how old is he?
He's 19.
Okay. All right, thank you, ma'am, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ms. Abdom, if it's okay with you, it's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. No further violent contact with Ms. Cleveland. Abide by any of Ms. Cleveland's rules of her house, which include being home at her curfew time. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. Abdon?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Should we maybe just clarify what time he should be home if we're going to make that a bond condition?
What time does he normally have to be in, Ms. Cleveland?
On the weekends, I allow him to be in at 1 a.m. 2 a.m. is the last, because I do let him go out on the weekends and have a good time. On the weekdays, I would like him to be home no later than 12 midnight. And Your Honor, could you please explain to me what is the $1,000 signature bond? Do I have to pay something?
No, you don't have to pay anything, Ms. Cleveland. It's a signature bond, so he'll be out on his own recognizance. If he fails to appear for court in the future, then that bond will be withdrawn and he'll have to pay $1,000 to get out if he misses court or anything of that nature. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. So you say on weekdays, what is it? 1 a.m.
12.
No, weekends. I'm gonna say 2 a.m. That's the late.
Weekends 2 a.m. and weekdays
12 midnight.
Okay, midnight. All right. So you get that, Ms. Bridgewater?
I have it, Judge.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you. All right. Good luck to you all.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
You're done. Position 13. Have a seat.
Good afternoon, Mr. McCaskill. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Of course.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005815G with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
21 total. Last arrest was 2020, death by receiving. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon or felony first offender. That's it.
And Your Honor, I have a little bit more history. While it was in 2002, I think it's relevant. In 2002, he was convicted of aggravated assault and cruelty to children in the first degree, and that was with another family member of the defendant. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 2815 Revere Drive. They spoke to the victim, who was a minor. I'll refer to him by the initials of JM. He advised that defects that came to his home due to his sister and himself being abused. Therefore, his mother was upset along with his grandfather. A verbal altercation turned physical where the defendant grabbed and choked the victim until the victim turned red. This was corroborated by the victim's sister, who is also a juvenile who lives in that location. The state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond to the one count simple battery family violence, no contact with the juvenile victim JM, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Okay, so who is JM to Mr. McCaslin?
That is his grandfather. The defendant is the grandfather. The
victim. The grandfather.
Yeah, and victim
okay.
is grandson.
And I didn't hear stay away, so. And this Revere Drive,
we are also asking for a stay away at that location.
Okay, and
The victim's 14.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Abden?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 53 years old, born in Atlanta, lived here his whole life. He is a father to 7 children. They're all adults. He does reside with his daughter and his grandson, who's the complaining witness in this case. He graduated from high school. He is on SSI. He is disabled. He doesn't have an appointment on Monday. He likely needs to get another surgery as soon as possible because his ankle is likely infected. And so I'm asking Your Honor to take that into consideration when setting bond today. He firmly denies these allegations. He tells me that he was not the first aggressor. He was defending himself. He does not object to a stay away. He can stay with his sister. He gave me the address. He just would need a one-time law enforcement escort to get his belongings. And so I'm requesting a signature bond through the jail if Your Honor is inclined, and if not, a low bond. And that is all.
It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond, pre-trial for the judge, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with the minor JM, stay away from the 2815 Review Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Judge, just to be clear, because you were going in and out, it's 5,000 SOB through pre-trial, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Position 10, Hopkins.
Did you say per judge?
If necessary, Mr. Howard.
Yes. So yes, Holly, that would be per judge.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hopkins, Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005813C with battery family violence. Their history?
22 total. You got history out of California and Oregon. Last arrest was, I think, 2009 for suspended license. Last violent arrest I saw was 2005, inflict corporal injury on spouse. And he got an FTA one out of DeKalb County for something. That's it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Walker.
Right. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 379 Atwood, where they spoke with the victim, Ms. Meredith Hopkins. I do see Ms. Hopkins on the line, so I will ask the court to sound for her when appropriate. Upon speaking with Ms. Hopkins, she advised to the officer that her husband came home inebriated. Argument started over parenting issues. At that time, he did become physical with the victim, Ms. Hopkins. He did punch her in her face and her chin. The officer did observe bruising on the chin of Ms. Hopkins. We are asking for a $5,000 surety bond. I believe that is already set. So we are asked that remains as set. No further contact with the victim, Ms. Hopkins, and to stay away from the incident location. And in our conversation with Ms. Hopkins, she stated that this is the first time that he's been arrested for being abusive towards her, but that they do have a history of domestic violence between the two of them.
Ms. Hopkins, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I will need for you to unmute yourself and I'll have to swear you in. So can you raise your right hand?
Yes, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you raise your right
Okay,
hand
yes.
for me?
This has been an ongoing.
Ms. Hopkins,
Yes.
listen to me, please. Listen
Yes.
to me, please. Raise your right
Okay.
hand for me.
Oh, yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court, Ms. Hopkins?
So this has been an ongoing, he's an alcoholic. He is an aggressor towards me, towards my daughter. I do not want him in my house anymore. I've been asking for a divorce. I've been asking him to leave. He has another place to go, which is his mom's house. He will not leave. He's an aggressor. He comes home drunk every single day. And I am fed up. And yesterday he hit me, and I'm done. And I'm going to file for a restraining order tomorrow morning because I do not want him in my place. He does not work. He doesn't do anything. All he does is drink. And I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hopkins. We appreciate you being here.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Abden?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 56 years old. He graduated from high school. He does work part-time fixing computers. It's my understanding that he does not reside at the incident location, Ms. Hopkins' home, full-time. He mostly lives with his mom. I do have an address. It's in Snellville. She is sick and elderly. He spends most of his days taking care of her. He's her primary caretaker. She doesn't have a means of transportation. He helps her out with groceries. It's also my understanding that my client and Ms. Hopkins have 3 children together. They're all minors. 2 of those children, the grandmother has custody over them. There's 1 child living with Ms. Hopkins. So my client also helps with those children when he's staying with his mother. It's my understanding it's his plan to stay with his mother full time. And so he would need a one-time law enforcement escort to gather the remainder of his belongings and go move and live there. He does firmly deny these allegations, and he does maintain his innocence until proven guilty. And he recently recovered from a stroke, Your Honor. And so he does have some appointments that he needs to go to deal with that. And so I am requesting a signature bond that be through the jail. And if Your Honor is not inclined, a lower bond because he cannot afford the bond that is currently set at $5,000.
$10,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ms. Hopkins, stay away from the incident location. He can go back to that location on 1 occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. Third-party transfer for visitation of any minor children, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
How much was that again?
$2,000 good bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, good luck to you, Mr. Hopkins. You also, Ms. Hopkins.
Position 1, Alexander.
Good afternoon, Mr. Alexander. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander, you've been charged in case 23 CR 005804J with criminal trespass and damage to property and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
26 total. Last arrest was in April. Probation violation out of Coweta County. On probation, burglary 1st degree. On probation in Cobb, burglary. 2022, 2021, probation violation. 2017, parole violation. 2017, theft by taking, entering auto. Criminal attempt to commit a felony, obstruction. Those were convictions. 2017, battery DV conviction. 2014, 2015 probation, and 2011 trespass no law. That's it.
Presenting for the state.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what position is this?
Position 1. Mr. Alexander.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts of this case, Your Honor, I'm pulling it up, sorry. Facts of this case is that on September 12, 2023, officer responded to the incident location being 3000 Continental Colony Parkway Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30331 here in Fulton County, Georgia, on a domestic dispute call. The officer spoke with the victim, who advised that her ex-boyfriend came to her home. She advised that she was awakened by her son screaming because the defendant was kicking the door. The victim advised the defendant made entry into the apartment and began to destroy her kids' trophies and began throwing things around while in the home. The officer observed several items scattered around inside the home. Officer eventually located the defendant, at which point after questioning, he gave chase. Your Honor, we were able to get in contact with the complaining victim in this case, and she advised that they were married. They're in the process of getting a separation. She states that she does not want to have any contact with the defendant and she wants him to stay away from the residence. And if I could point out, although it's dismissed, there was a 21 CP 20089 case for aggravated assault in which it was the same victim. The victim also stated that the defendant shows up to her home on multiple occasions, kicking the door. And she states that the defendant has been violent toward her in the past, obviously with that 21 CP case. Now, the recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, a stay away from that incident location, and 1 anger management course. Your Honor, at this time, if we could sound for the victim, Ms. Tarika Alexander, Tarika spelled Tarika, Alexander traditional spelling.
If Ms. Alexander is on, well, I see you there, Ms. Alexander. Yes, ma'am. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. What would you like to tell me, Ms. Alexander?
He's currently still my husband. He's not my boyfriend. Like I had told the lady earlier, there's a 6-year-old that he's practically raised his whole life. I just don't want any violent contact with Mr. Alexander and the drugs and the alcohol, because that plays a major part in the downfall of him, is the drugs and the alcohol. And I keep putting it to my ears because it's really low.
Does he live at the Continental Parkway address?
He has his belongings here and stuff here. He does live here. But it's the drugs and the alcohol. He's a totally different person when he's on those substances. And I don't partake in that type of behavior. So it's like very toxic in my home. He turns into a totally different person. But when he's sober, he's a welder engineer. He's licensed. He makes very great money. He's a good provider. It's just when he takes that turn, and you never know when Alex will take a turn.
How many children are you in your household?
I have 3 boys in here, ages 16, 12, and 6. Again, like I said, he's been in his 6-year-old's life since he was 6 months. He calls him dad. He doesn't know anyone but him as dad. He's in the room currently. I keep telling him, not to get into the camera, but he loves the ground that Alex walks on because, again, like I said, he's a good person, sober. He is a monster when he's on cocaine and alcohol.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Alexander.
Thank you.
Abden?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that my client actually lives with his sister at a different address. He does stay with Miss Alexander less frequently now. And so he does have another place to stay. As you've heard.
I don't want to interrupt, but Alex doesn't have any sisters for a sibling. He's actually breaking into the abandoned houses with other drug addicts around our neighborhood.
I'm just going to object to this testimony. I mean, it's not relevant to no further contact and the purposes of bond. This is what he told me. And these are allegations at this time. It's my understanding he does have another place to stay. I do have an address for him. And so he is 37 years old. He does have 4 children in that home. And it's my understanding that Miss Alexander does want no further violent contact. He is gainfully employed. I'm not aware of the substance abuse issues that were testified to today. It's my understanding that my client is denying these allegations, and the complaining witness and my client are separated, and they were living together at the time of the incident. Ever since the incident, the complaining witness and my client It's my understanding that they were on good terms. And so he does not have an objection, like I said, to the stay away. He has been in jail since Sunday for a separate matter in Coweta County. And so the longer he remains in jail, the more likely it is that he's going to lose his job. When I spoke with him and I asked him if he's working, he was very anxious about that. He wasn't even sure if he had a job anymore. And he is the breadwinner and provider for these children. And so I am requesting a signature bond, Your Honor. His children are financially dependent on him, and he will lose his job if he does not get out, which will greatly disadvantage those children.
Okay. It's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial on each charge. Makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1 day anger awareness. I'm more concerned about the children in this matter. So there's going to be no further contact with Ms. Alexander and a stay away from the Continental Parkway address. I don't know if he needs to go back to that address, but I'll give him the opportunity to go back on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. I'm not going to keep him away from the children, but there'll have to be third-party transfer for any visitation, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Let me just explain what no contact means to both you, Mrs. Alexander, and you, Mr. Alexander. No contact means absolutely no contact at this time. No phone contact, no personal contact, no internet contact, no social media contact. You all are grown folk, you know, but what I'm mostly concerned about are what goes on in that household and these children seeing what goes on in that household and is influenced by that. So at this point in time, no contact until this matter is resolved. Good luck to you both.
And that's
Per judge.
You're done. Position 6, Black.
Good afternoon, Mr. Black. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Black. You've been charged in case 23 CR 005809B with reckless conduct. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
third arrest, 2022, driving without a valid license. 2019, same thing. He was recommended.
Mr. Pierre Thomas?
Your Honor, the facts of this case is that on September 27, 2023, the officer was dispatched to Georgia Tech's hotel parking deck in reference to a person observed discharging a firearm on the 6th floor of the parking deck. Officer arrived and the defendant was in the vehicle matching the description, attempting to flee the location or attempting to leave the location, better yet. Officer observed the defendant officer observed in the defendant's reach a loaded black handgun. Defendant also had a holster on his person. A search of the 6th floor yielded one discharged shell similar to the one in the chamber or the ones in the chamber of the defendant's weapon. The casing was also found close to where the defendant was observed to have parked his vehicle on the 6th floor. Defendant advised that the weapon did belong to him. Your Honor, because of the presence of the firearm and the dangerousness of the situation, the state will be requesting a $15,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, a stay away from that incident location being 770 Spring Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30308, and a one gun safety course and a surrender of all firearms in his possession to the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Nothing further to add from the state at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Elgin?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to point out, these are mere allegations at this time. This is not his sentencing. He does firmly deny these allegations. He would have no objection to a stay away. He would agree to turn over his firearm and to the no drugs and alcohol, but I am objecting to the course. He's 25 years old. He's lived in Georgia his whole life. He's between jobs at the moment. He's currently actively applying and he's waiting to hear back. He is recommended, Your Honor, and so I am requesting a signature bond for my client.
Okay, it's going to be a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial, one gun safety class, stay away from Georgia Tech hotel parking deck, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond, which means that he's going to have to surrender any weapons that that he has. Good luck to you, Mr. Black.
Your Honor, Mr. Position number 17, Mr. Valentine.
Okay. Are you all able to clear the courtroom there or not at this time? Thank you.
Sorry, I also have a waiver. I put it in the chat. I just wanted to give you a heads up. It's number 7.
Okay, I have that we have a waiver for number 7 and also for number, well, we've done number 14, so just for number 7.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's see, we've already gone through the formalities with Mr. Valentine. I've already informed him of what the charges are. Willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and one other misdemeanor offense. Let's see, pretrial, if you
Your Honor,
could.
can we please stop the live stream, Your Honor?
Is there any objection, Mr. Walker?
Yes, of course, there's an objection because there is not a court reporter, and the live stream is what makes court open and free to the public to attend like any other court hearing. I believe there's an open court requirement that requires that all court proceedings are open to the public. So the state would be objecting to that, as we always do. The courtroom is cleared.
Yes, we've cleared the courtroom for the safety of Mr. Valentine, and I am going to leave the live stream on at the present time. Let's see, Mr. Howard, is there a history?
Oh, we want the history again. Hold on. $34 total. Last arrest was back in June 2022. Possession of drug-related objects. On probation for robbery. 2017, possession of drug-related objects, obstruction, conviction.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Walker.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to Georgia Tech's campus. They spoke with the victim, a Miss Womack, who is a student at Georgia Tech. She advised that the defendant grabbed her by the butt. He was recognized, Bolo was put out, and he was recognized by law enforcement at a later time in an effort to approach him or an effort to arrest him due to the previous sexual battery upon Miss Womack. He did get flight, and that is the basis for the obstruction. There currently is a $4,000 surety on each count, totaling to a $8,000 surety. We ask that bond remain as set. No further contact with the victim, Ms. Womack, and to stay away from Georgia Tech's campus. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, my client is 55 years old. He has been here in Georgia for the last 20 years. And as of now, he is residentially challenged, and he does not have anybody who can help him to bail out. So any bond will be like a new bond for him. He is unemployed, even though he works part-time here and there. It is very, very minimal. So he is qualified for public defender services. He completed up to 10th grade. And Your Honor, indeed, he is more interested in finding a drug rehabilitation program. So I think that would be wiser. So I made a recommendation for him to PAD, Policy Alternative and Diversion Program, that might be better fit than staying in the jail. We would like to request for signature on bond or a maximum $500 good bond. Even that, I don't think he's going to be able to pay at all. Thank you, Your Honor.
For the obstruction, it's going to be a $500 good bond. For the other offense, it's going to be a $1,500 good bond, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. Stay away from the Georgia Tech campus, no further contact with Ms. Womack, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. I would like for him to have a social worker visit Ms. Kim for the issues that you have brought before the court. If he's not out by the SAP date, if you will have whomever report to the court so that we can move the case forward in that way, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you. So what that mean?
I'll explain. Go ahead and have a seat.
We'll finish about it.
Have a seat, Mr. Valentine. Position number 7 is going to be waive of appearance.
Okay. Let's see, is there a history for Mr. Cameron?
It's 88 of.
Okay. Last 10 years, maybe?
That's a lot.
5?
He's on probation, possession of marijuana with intent, theft by receiver. Also possession of cocaine with intent. Possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance. And another possession of marijuana with intent. 2022, he's arrested twice for trespass. He was arrested this year for trespass. 2021 trespass, NOLO. His last arrest was back in January, failure to appear. I'll stop there.
Mr. Pierre Thomas?
Your Honor, brief facts of the case is that on September 27, 2023, officers were dispatched to the incident location of 8 Cleveland Avenue, Southeast Atlanta, Georgia, 30315, which is the location of the 24/7 food mart. The clerk advised the defendant was given a criminal trespass warning on what appeared to be 4 days prior, September 23rd, 2023. Officer then spoke with the owner, Rafiq Jabbarini, Jabrani, who stated the same facts. Your Honor, the state would request a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the witness in this case, and a stay away from the incident location. And I do believe there is nothing further to add from the state at this time.
Okay, it's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from that 24/7 food mart, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Does that suit you, Ms. Abden?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And if you'll impress upon him, Ms. Abden, that he can't go back there, please.
Yeah, I will. Derek went to go speak with him this morning, so he
Okay.
already made it very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, and I think that completes our calendar for this afternoon. Is that right, Francois?
We're completed here in courtroom 2, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, I will see you tomorrow afternoon if you're with us.
Oh, you're with us tomorrow? Great.
I am.
Thank you. All right. Be safe.
See you
Thank you.
tomorrow. And Officer Milton, you have a
Yes.
good afternoon too. Okay, Ms. Bridgewater, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is October the 12th. Position number 1 is being reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 2, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 3, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 4, $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 5, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 6, reset further notice with a $10,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 7, we just did that one, is being reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 8, reset further notice with the $1,000 SOB through the jail. Position 9, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 10 is going to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. 11 is being reset further notice with a $10,000 SOB through the jail. 12, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. 13, reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. 14, reset further notice with a total $1,000 SOB through the jail. 15, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. 16, reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through the jail. 17 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. 18, reset to the SAP calendar with a total $3,000 good bond. 19 is being reset further notice, and I don't have it on here. I'll come right back. 20 is being reset further notice with the $1,000 SOB through the jail. 21 is being reset further notice with the $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. And 19 is being reset further notice with the $3,000 SOB through pretrial.
What was 18 again?
18 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $3,000 good bond.
And what was the bond amount for number 1? That wasn't when you started.
Okay, bond amount for number 1 is a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial per judge with $2,000 on each charge.
I have a quick question, Judge, or for Ms. Holly. What was the bond for position 7 that waived their appearance?
7 was being reset to the,
It's a 1,000 SOB jail for number 7.
going to be reset further notice.
Thank you.
Any other?
Okay. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
3:30, not bad for this amount of cases.
Yes, very good.
See if you can
Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Walker, y'all have been very generous these days.
Oh, you just lucky this week. Take care, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Y'all
See you
have a good
tomorrow.
one. I'll get those signed when I get them, Ms. Bridgewater.